got a lot harder for me to be a part of the church. Eventually pulled me away from the church, and I thank the Lord I came back around. But that's what Paul's trying to say here is, you need to follow righteousness. You need to try to do these things. And Paul's not saying that, okay, we're all going to be perfect, we're all going to be right, we're all going to be everything else. But he said you ought to try to do the best you can. And with faith and charity and peace with them that call on the Lord out of a pure heart. He's saying because it's going to be easier to do it with people around you that are of the same mind as you. Because if they're not, they're going to be pulling you in a different direction. When I started out writing trying to write this message out, I was not thinking that I'm going to write something. I'm going to preach something about don't sin, because that was not my intention. But because I was trying to get you to see that all these things are around us right now. That we are definitely in the times that Paul was talking about, that the Lord could come at any time, and we don't want anybody to be caught unprepared, and you don't want to be caught, like he's talking about here in verse 21. He said that he wants us to be ready for the Lord's return, and that we not be ashamed, and that we be a vessel of honor. We'd be something that when God sees us, He's proud of us because we're trying to do what He wants us to do. He knows we're not going to do it all the time, and we're going to fail. Some people think that, you see on the internet, I see, this person says they're a Christian, but they told a lie or something like that. So that they must not be a Christian. Well, God, that's not what really a Christian is. That's the thing. God wants us to try to do the best we can. He'll say, I can help you. I'll do it. But we need to follow after these things is what Paul's saying. We should try to do this. And that'll prepare us for every good work, it says in that same verse. Be prepared unto every good work. Because God can use you if you're prepared in this way. One thing that I did see that I wanted to share with you, and I'll close with this. It's a story, short story, almost like that was written by Charles Spurgeon, who was a great preacher in the 1800s. He died in almost late 1800s. I don't know if Randy ever had a chance to see him when she was young, but he was a great preacher, and even to this day is considered maybe one of the greatest preachers of all time. And it talks, and this is kind of a good story that he said. It says, he said, have you never heard the story of a lady who wanted a coachman? A coachman is like the guy who sits on top of the carriage, and there's a horse pulling the carriage, and the guy sits on top, and that's the coachman. So the coachman's the guy who would open the door for the person to get in the coach and close it and climb up top and drive the coach in town, because back then they didn't have cars. It says, have you never heard the story of a lady who wanted a coachman? 2 or 3 called to see her about the situation, and in answer to her inquiries, the first applicant said, yes, madam, you could not have a better coachman than myself. She replied, how near do you think you can drive to danger without an accident? So he said, I'm a very good coachman, you should hire me. And she's saying, well, yeah, but how close can you get to danger without having an accident? And he says, madam, I could go within a yard of it, and yet you would be perfectly safe. She said, very well, you will not suit me. The second one who came heard the question, and saw it happen to the first guy, and so he thought, okay, well, I know what I should say. And so when he was asked the question, he said, danger, madam? Why, I could drive within a hair's breadth and yet be perfectly safe. In other words, he's saying, I could go right up to danger and you'd still be safe. Don't worry, that's how good of a driver I am. And she said, well, then you will not suit me at all. When number 3 came in, he was asked, are you a good driver? Well, he replied, I am careful and I have never met with an accident. She said, but how near do you think you could drive to danger? He said, madam, that is a thing I never tried. I always drive as far away from danger as ever I can. The lady at once replied, you are the kind of coachman I want, and I will engage you at once. So she said, I'm not trying to find somebody who can get as close to danger as they can. I want somebody who's going to keep me away from danger, and that's the kind of coachman that I want. And Spurgeon said, yet such a coachman as that yourself, to guide your own heart and to lead your own character, do not see how near you can go to sin, but see how far you can keep away from it. He's saying, don't try to see how close you can get to the devil, how close you can get to the danger of sin, but stay far from it. That's what his thing was. I thought it was a pretty good analogy there. That people think, it's not going to hurt me. I'm brave or whatever. And Spurgeon here saying it's better just to avoid it altogether if you can. And so that's what I guess what I thought about at the beginning was what days we're in, and sin is all around us, and there's things. But see, one thing when I was reading through Paul's discussion of these things that we should avoid in chapter 3, at the end of the end of verse 5, he reads through all these things about being covetousness, unholy, unthankful, despisers of those that are good, and at the end it says, from such turn away. So that was Paul's advice too, is, okay, these things are all around us, these things are, he said, from those things turn away. So that's the best advice, is if we can stay far from those things. All right, we'll go ahead and get ready to close in prayer. Should I mention that thing that you were telling me before? No? Okay. Forget that. Don't pray for that one.
Pray for one of my friends.
Okay, Dara has a friend she'd like y'all to pray for, who does have a problem. Ricardo, is that name? We don't know anything more about that situation there, but do pray for him. Yes, ma'am?
Today is National Pray for President Day.
Okay. Well, it's funny because I think we should pray for our president, because I think we can pray for our country. Some people say, yeah, pray for him. He needs help. But on one hand, some people are going to pray for him that they think something's wrong with him and he needs prayer. But I think he's trying to do a lot of good things, and so pray for him. But most of all, pray for our country. Pray for the freedoms that we have to worship the Lord and have church, and these things are being attacked a lot these days. So, and I know he's trying among, he may be doing some other stuff too, bad things. It's kind of like with Mazda, that was the mayor here. People say, oh, he was a crook, and other people say, well, he was a crook, but all the others were crooks too, and they didn't do anything. At least he paved all the roads and fixed all the street lights and everything else, so. I mean, he might have been a crook, and that's the way Trump is. That they accuse him of all kind of things. But I think he does want to do some good things, and so we should ask the Lord to help him at least get those things done in our country. Pray for all the kids as they're in school. I don't know if anybody that's really sick right now or anything. Mommy hasn't felt good today, so pray for her. And so let's just all pray if we can. Our Heavenly Father, we come to you once again, Lord, in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. And I'm thankful, Lord, that we have a chance to be here to pray. I'm thankful, Lord, for each one that's here. I do pray, Lord, tonight that those who have heard this message tonight, Lord, will take it to heart, Lord, and to understand, Lord, the devil will do anything he can to keep you away from God. The devil will do anything he can, Lord, to keep our kids, Lord, from getting to God. I pray, Lord, tonight that you help the devil, keep the devil away from them, Lord. And I pray that you can help them, Lord, to be able to turn and get something from you, Lord. And I know that I'm not expecting them to get out of this world and get away from this world and quit all the things that they are doing. It's not about what they quit, Lord. It's about leaving a place in their hearts for you, Lord. And I pray that they do that, Lord. And I pray for their salvation, Lord, that they would open up their hearts, let you save them, Lord.
And Lord, and I just pray the Holy Spirit would speak to them, Lord, and do something tonight. And Lord, Lord, you're not expecting us, you don't ask us to come and give up all of our things that we're doing, give up all of our sins and things, Lord. You don't say that, Lord, you just say come, and you'll take care of that, Lord, and you'll help us with those things, and you'll help us, Lord, to find joy in other things, Lord. And I just pray for our kids, they would be able to see that, Lord. I do pray for this one that Darren mentioned, Lord, tonight. I pray you'd help that family, Lord, and help them. I pray for Ricardo, Lord, and his family, and I pray they'd be able to get that going so he can get the operation he needs, Lord. Be with the missionaries, all the families, Lord. I'm thankful for each and every one, Lord, and I pray you'd use them and bless them. Help them, Lord. Help us in our work here. Help us protect it, Lord. Protect it. The devil won't have a chance to come against it and mess things up, Lord. Bless the kids. While they're in school, watch over our kids, Lord, I pray. I pray that you take care of them as they're in school. Help them to be able to learn what they need, Lord. But most of all, I pray that they learn of you, Lord. That they come to know you as their Savior. They come to know you as the center of their life, Lord. They come to know you as the one who can help them. They come to know you as their shepherd and their Savior. I thank you for all that you've done for us, Lord, tonight, Lord. And I thank you for the message. I thank you for loving us tonight, Lord. I pray to be with us now as we go downstairs. Give us a good time together. I'm thankful that we're all here and Brother Manson's here. And I pray his friends will come and we'll have a good time together, Lord. And I thank you for all the good things and all the ways you bless us, Lord. And Lord, not because we're any good, Lord, but because you're good to us always, Lord. And I'm thankful for that. I thank you for all that you've done here tonight, Lord. And I bless your holy name. In Jesus' name I pray.
Is this it? No. What happened? Because I can't. I'm trying to figure out what button it is.
Which button is it? Right?
I know what it is. I'm just trying to figure out which.
I did the challenge.